for persons breaking the law on the mandatory wearing of masks. Should anyone be arrested by the security agencies disregarding this directive,
we'll hear from the police and bring you the latest on the Noguchi Memorial Institute's probe into alleged falsification of COVID-19 test results.
If you, the operator of the lab, because of your parochial commercial interest, you are conspiring with a positive person to change results, you are endangering the entire population and undermining the national fight. And that is why sanctions will have to apply.
Also tonight on Newsnight.
wear your masks at all times. Wash and sanitize your hands regularly. Protect yourself. Protect each other. Protect your teachers. Protect your parents. But please, do not give me a reason to close down schools again.
And the struggle to adhere to safety protocols in schools reveal a huge gap between public and private schools, as some rural schools without basic amenities fail to comply.
This is my bag.
Why did you decide not to wear it to school? No reason?
Yes.
Why? Why not told to come with a nose mask when you are coming to school? My own at school. Your own at school.
Tonight we get to assess the first day of reopening after a 10-month shutdown.
And in business, the increase in price of petroleum products expected to impact on the cost of living in the coming days.
And tonight, international football scout Kofi Bawa believes the Ghana under-17 national team needs to be dissolved. We'll find out why later in sports.
And later here on Newsnight, 2 years and counting, family of Ahmed Swale to take its demand for justice in Ochaya as it hints of soliciting support from the international community in a bid to secure a speedy resolution of the matter.
As a matter of fact, nothing has changed since last year. The police are not ready to find the perpetrator. We're not going to leave it there. We will put ourselves together as a family. We will put pressure on the Ghana Police Service. We are calling on the international community to put pressure on the Ghana Police Service.
We'll hear from the GJA and also the CID, which maintains it is still pursuing the case.
We have that and more here on Newsnight. Please join us with your thoughts and comments. It's via WhatsApp 055-1111-997. Also, if you're watching via Facebook, you can leave your comments there. Thanks for watching, though. And I am Emefa Apawu.
My name is Ernest. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. Now, the police will be resolute and firm in the application of the law enforcing the wearing of face masks. That's according to the police administration. The measure is considered among key interventions to stop the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, the law spelled out in an executive instrument 164 states that those who are found guilty will be fined a maximum of 12,000 cedis or that's a minimum of 12,000 cedis and a maximum of 60,000 cedis, or will have to serve a prison term between 4 and 10 years.
Now, with Ghana's case count now at 1,924 with 352 deaths and with the discovery of new strains of the virus in Ghana, the fight to stay safe is at a higher pitch. Listen to President Akufo-Addo when he updated the nation last night.
At this current rate, whereby 13 out of the 16 regions have recorded active cases, our health infrastructure will be overwhelmed if the situation continues. It will severely undermine the efforts government is making to revitalize the economy and put our nation back onto the path of progress and prosperity following the ravages of the pandemic. On 7th January, as I said, I swore to, and I quote, dedicate myself to the service and well-being of the people of the Republic of Ghana and to do right to all manner of persons, unquote. It is my duty to protect lives and livelihoods. In furtherance of this, I've instructed the Inspector General of Police to direct officers, men and women of the police service to ensure the rigorous enforcement of the law on mask wearing at all public places and in public transport. They are also to ensure the closure of all nightclubs, pubs, cinemas, and beaches that may be operating in defiance of the law. They will be assisted by the other security agencies if need be. Persons in marketplaces, workplaces, and operators of public transport must conduct their activities in accordance with the hygiene and safety protocols. The wearing of masks in these places is mandatory. Regulatory agencies will undertake random checks to ensure conformity with COVID-19 rules. Should any facility or institution fail to comply with these directives, its activities will be immediately prohibited and appropriate sanctions applied. It is important that I remind all Ghanaians that severe punishments exist on our statute books for persons breaking the law on the mandatory wearing of masks. Should anyone be arrested by the security agencies disregarding this directive, that person will be dealt with strictly in accordance with law. We do not want to go back to the days of partial lockdowns, which had a negative impact on our economy and on our way of life. But should that become necessary, that is, should the number of active cases continue to increase at the current rate, I will have no option but to reimpose these restrictions, because it is better to be safe than to be sorry.
So after this particular directive, Ernest, last night, the police administration accepted the call, and they've been meeting all day on the best approach. You know, lawyers like Samson Ladia, Yenene, Martin, Pebu, Yunus Husseini, amongst others, they've raised concern about the punitive measures for this, 12,000.
That's the minimum.
And then 60,000 Ghana cedis or a sentence. And they've raised concerns about this. But the police have been meeting all day today on this particular issue, on the best approach. We're still working the lines to speak to the Director of Public Affairs with the police service, Madam Sheila Abeye Backman, on the decisions they've taken regarding the marching orders that were given yesterday by the president.
And how practically this will apply, especially on our roads.
Well, we'll stay on COVID-related issues, especially also with the reopening. There's a lot that emerged yesterday during the president's address, amongst others the new strain, and then also the laboratories. This particular issue comes up, and we'll be dealing with it shortly. But you know that there was something that surfaced on social media.
Making the rounds.
Of course, about Noguchi Memorial Institute. And that's the test result. A Ghanaian, Kofi Champong, alleged he offered 500 Ghana cedis to a staff of Noguchi to have his COVID-19 test changed from positive to negative. The center instituted a probe into it over the weekend and is yet to tell the public the outcome of the particular probe. But my colleague Elton Brobe joins me in studio with the very latest on this. First off, though, I would want us to refresh our minds or our memories on this particular subject.
So, Emefa, over the weekend, there was this audio recording that was put in circulation by somebody claiming to be Kofi Champong, who in the audio is heard saying that he went to Noguchi for tests, and then he was declared positive for COVID-19, and later he went to London, did same, and then it turned out negative, even though after being confirmed with COVID-19, according to him, he was told to pay 500 Ghana cedis by somebody at Noguchi, and when he paid, the test changed from positive to negative. So on his Facebook wall, he posted this, and it has the University of Ghana Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, and you have the original stamp of a virologist who perhaps conducted this test. And this is dated 10th January 2021. It has the name of a Champong Kofi, male, the passport number provided, the lab ID also provided, the test requested PCR test for direct detection of SARS-CoV-19, and then the date provided, the time is 11 a.m. The result is positive for SARS-CoV-3, also known as COVID-19, and you have the signature of the person who signed this particular test. Now, on the other side of the picture he posted on Facebook is also another test he claims he was conducted on him at NHS.
Okay, this is in London.
This is in London.
Okay.
And this is dated 13th January 2021. That's 3 days after he had undertaken similar tests here in Ghana before embarking on that trip to the UK. So the UK one he also provided on his Facebook wall is dated the 13th of January 2021, and the text says that your coronavirus test results is negative. It is likely you did not have the virus when the test was done on you in Ghana. Keep following coronavirus advice, including regular hand washing, social distance, wearing of a face covering where recommended. So, with these two informations, the person, Kofi Champon, did an audio recording and put it on Facebook, alleging that some people at Noguchi had taken money from him, and then as a result, he was given an all clear to travel. But later, from what he is alluding, he was negative after all. Now, Noguchi responded to this particular matter in an internal memo signed by Professor Abraham Kwabena Annan, who is the director of Noguchi. Now, let me read the content of this memo. It says, "Good morning, all. I wish to assure staff that the allegations on social media about falsification of COVID-19 testing results at the Institute is being treated with grave seriousness. The university has decided that a press release should be put on hold, and investigations conducted over the weekend and a report presented to the university for senior management meeting on Monday, 18 January 2021. Two aspects of investigations are being conducted. NMI-MR internal investigations at Noguchi. External investigation will be conducted by the National Security, which is in discussion with the coordinator of National Network of COVID-19 Testing Laboratories. Noguchi internal investigative team include Professor Collins Ahulu, Dr. Michael Fori, Dr. Mary Coleman, Dr. Charles Quay, and Dr. Ivy Asantewa Asante. Confirm the validity of the displayed positive COVID-19 test. If there's any negative test result for the same person, interrogate staff who were on duty for any relevant information, evaluate the existing COVID-19 testing system from sample taken to the release of results, identify any other COVID-19 related issue, present report to the director by 8 a.m. today. Okay. This morning, we are almost 12 hours into the time allocated. To facilitate this process, all virology staff and other staff on COVID-19 testing teams are to report to the Institute by 8:30 a.m. on Sunday, January 17, 2020. Meanwhile, the investigative team may call any staff to hold interaction physically or virtually at any time. This is signed by Professor Kwabena Annan.
So that's an internal memo.
This is an internal memo. Yeah. So what I've done this afternoon is to check with Noguchi whether, as directed by the director in this internal memo, they have the outcome of this report.
What did you
now,
find?
From Noguchi's position, from the person I spoke to, he told me that they have the report, but they are still discussing with other management members before they make it public. I probed to find out whether the report corresponds with the allegations that has been put on air by this supposed person who was at their center for the testing. And my information is that they will not disclose the content of it now because some management members need to have a look first, and then they can make the outcome public. That is the information that I have. Now, I also reached out to Mr. Kofi Champon, who is domiciled in the United Kingdom. I got him, then he directed me to speak to his lawyer. His lawyer told me that already the Ghanaian authorities have reported this matter to the UK authorities for them to also investigate the veracity of this test report that is posted on Facebook, claiming that it came from the NHS in London, and then also to find out how he can assist in this investigation. But his lawyer told me that they are yet to get a formal invitation from Noguchi to substantiate the allegation that he's made. But the gentleman told me he stands by every word that he put out in that audio recording, and that he will be ready to assist Noguchi in getting to the bottom of this particular matter. But as far as the lawyer is concerned, they will not make any public statement yet until they have been said formally by Noguchi. But what he can confirm is that the UK authorities have started investigating this matter, and they've reached out to him.
Okay, interesting findings there. But we're hoping to speak to the Noguchi Memorial Medical Center's director, Professor Abraham Kwabena Annan. But with the information that Elton is putting out there, it appears that's how come he's unable to speak to us just yet. But we'll stay a while longer on laboratories because this issue also came up strongly.
But before we move to the laboratories, yesterday on your show, The Probe, the Information Minister Kojo Ponkrumah spoke to this issue. You put it to him whether or not government is interested in investigating, and this was his response. Let's listen.
If you take this one flying on social media about Noguchi, my understanding is that Noguchi is conducting an investigation, and perhaps by tomorrow they can give us feedback. But what I find curious is that whoever put this thing on social media, I was hoping to see the first positive and then subsequently this negative one attached to it. In this era of fake news and people cooking up stuff, I don't take things I see on social media ab initio as though they are fact. But I would have loved to see the first positive and then this negative to give me some prima facie belief that it is true. Be that as it may, Noguchi is conducting an internal investigation to ascertain whether or not these things are going on. And we are encouraging the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health that all other labs that are conducting these tests must also be scrutinized to ensure that it doesn't happen. Because listen, we are fighting a pandemic. If you, the operator of the lab, because of your parochial commercial interest, you are conspiring with a positive person to change results just for commercial purposes, you are endangering the entire population and undermining the national fight. And that is why sanctions will have to apply if you are found culpable in such an enterprise.
So that was his response to the allegation. Now, there's also the issue of laboratories, especially the private ones, not providing real-time information and data to the Ghana Health Service in order to, put that data out. The president spoke about it yesterday. Mr. Oponkuma was very much interested in this. He says government is meeting with some of these laboratories signed with the labs to be able to find out what the real challenge is. Let's listen to him.
There is a reason for which sometimes there's a lag, a genuine lag in some numbers. It will be reported at the district, at the region, and then it will get to Accra. And just like Dr. Abuaje is mentioning to you, tonight, for example, they will collate close of day numbers. Midnight. He will see it tonight. Tomorrow morning, they will probably update. It doesn't mean that there's a massaging or suppression of figures. So I think that we should throw that conspiracy theory away. It hasn't helped since the last 9 or 10 months that we've been battling this. And it's frankly of no use to be, recycling that. But there is a genuine challenge. There's been a genuine challenge. The genuine challenge has been, as you were discussing with Dr. Abuaje, that in our bid to add on to our testing capacities, we licensed or authorized private labs also to be testing. Dr. Abuaje is being very nice and politically correct. I will be very blunt. There are a number of the labs that have been more interested in taking people's money and conducting the test than providing the public health data that is required, which would ensure that if you, Emefa, go to any of these private facilities and test today, they will have your full data and make your data available in real time to the public health sector. So that, for example, if you are positive, contact tracing can start immediately. We've had several instances in which, despite what Dr. Abuaje and his team members have been impressing on them that take the data and share with us, they just don't do it. And now the Ghana Health Service is having to employ another method to get the data from them. And the president, as he mentioned tonight, has been quite clear that if you don't do it now, there will be sanctions. And I can tell you the sanctions essentially are that your facility will be stopped from conducting any further tests. Then there are those who do the test and delay in providing the information. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. And if you take 3 or 4 days to provide that information, these positive persons will be going around spreading.
Why the delay? Is it that the process of transmission? What exactly is the cause of that delay? Or is just deliberate not to give us the real-time data?
I don't think it's deliberate. The feedback we've had is that for some of these labs, it's been about, whether or not they will hire other personnel or extra hands to do this simultaneous data capturing and whether it makes business sense for them to do. I'm being very blunt and honest with you.
And so that's Kojo Oponkuma there. And you know that the issue about the lag has been attributed mainly to the private labs. But then the public relations officer of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratories signed it, Dr. Dennis Edu JC, said that public facilities are also responsible for the data lag because they do not enter the details of the patients they test at the district level in order to enable the tally even at the regional or national level.
Definitely, there are challenges that, and I think even the ministry admits that these are not that the people don't have the data, but the entry is an issue where people now may have to get extra hands. In the public sector, it's not so much of a problem. The problem is that people will bring samples that they have not entered them into the SOMA. That is where the problem is. And it's not the lab that is supposed to go and do the entry. We only go in like a request that has come and go and put a result there. If I go and that detail is not in the SOMA, I have results. but I can't enter it there. So for me in particular, using myself as an example, there have been several times I have communicated to the regional directors why they should keep informing their people to enter the details of patients that we are testing before we can put in the results. So what we do mostly is to send results in an Excel sheet rather than into the SOMA, because I'm not the one to sit down and go and enter those things before I can now put my results. So that is one side of it. And the private side too is where they don't have the people results ready, but they can't also enter. So we need to accommodate it, especially in this epidemic, where Excel sheets can equally be accepted, and maybe we get data entry clerks that will support and make sure that we jump over this kind of hurdle.
So what would you propose as a solution?
So the proposal I am making, and I think it can be taken on board, is that once the results are produced, we need it in the summer. Can we have a way that we support facilities with people that will do data entry? Because trust me, if somebody is working on over 100 samples daily, as I have finished testing today, or I am running my samples, there is another batch of people that have come that I need to test. You probably might not have the time to go and sit down and be entering results into a system for the purpose of data gathering.
So that's the public relations officer of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, Dennis Edu Jeside, also providing some solution to deal with the issue, which he admits the public labs are also to blame for.
Well, but the trustee of the COVID-19 Private Fund, Senyor Hosi, and Deputy Director General of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayu, lashed out at government, saying it is unacceptable to make policies when there's no real-time data on COVID-19 testing.
Now, what gives us worry in terms of the figures? We want to know what the real situation is. And I think, again, the president alluded to that yesterday when he said the private labs are supposed to do real-time upload of their data. We had concern to say that most of the people who get tested at this private lab, it appears their data is not being captured. So this infection rate statistics that has been given.
No, frankly, it's so embarrassing that the president will have to come and say this. How many months? Almost close to a year on. Was this rocket science? I mean, this kind of embarrassing thing must stop in this country.
So you realize that the figures on which we've been making most of our statement and policies, and we are doing well and all of that, a lot of us had concern that it is possible.
Hold on a minute.
Yes.
The possibility is what I'm interested in. How can it be possible that private labs would not be reporting cases when, as part of the reasons why they were giving licenses to do these, it's part of the protocols?
So in fact, for their accreditation, they needed to be hooked onto the system.
Yes.
For that to even happen.
Exactly.
Now, our evidence that we think that this is not being done is the fact that if they were reporting their data to the health system accurately, then everybody who gets tested should be known by the health system. Now you have symptomatic people at home who have been tested at the private lab. No one is contacting them.
Nobody.
And they are harassing doctors. They're harassing friends.
For treatment.
Just to find a place to go for treatment. Some are asking for buying. People are buying all sorts of things on their own because nobody is calling them to. You see, even if you are being managed, doing home management, which is acceptable standard practice, the system should be aware that you are being managed at home.
And in a position to monitor.
And somebody is calling you. That gives you reassurance that if my situation gets worse, I can't be moved.
For the president to really take these number of months and now come and announce this as president, it's an embarrassment to his government. Somebody should be fired for this.
So that's Senyor Hosi and then Titus Bayu, all on the Super Morning Show. They've been talking about the reopening of schools. Essentially, the president yesterday had a direct charge to children across the country in his address last night. Listen.
I know that for most of you, 2020 was a very unfamiliar year and presented a setback for your preparation for the future. You all saw the struggle your parents, especially working parents, went through with you at home due to school closures. You also know how you struggled to learn from home, even for those of you who were lucky enough to continue with some of your classes online. The frustrations, the idleness, the absence of classroom, or study group intimacy, it has all been extremely difficult for you, your parents, teachers, and everybody involved. This is something we should all try to put behind us. Much of that depends on you. As we take these big steps to go back to school, your attitude, your behavior, your self-discipline will decide whether or not our schools will remain open. I'm pleading with you. Please observe the COVID-19 protocols at all times. You must maintain the level of discipline and sense of responsibility to stop the virus from spreading in your schools, and for those students at home as well. Wear your masks at all times. Wash and sanitize your hands regularly. Protect yourself. Protect each other. Protect your teachers. Protect your parents. But please, do not give me a reason to close down schools again.
But the sad reality is that some children in rural parts of the country are struggling to adhere to these protocols that the president talks about because of the lack of access to basic amenities, including water, furniture, amongst others, not to talk of purchasing nose masks. Our checks in some of these schools in the northern part and upper west regions revealed the near impossibility of these children adhering to these safety protocols. Martina Bugri interacted with some of these children.
Since the time I came to school, I've not seen anyone wearing nose masks, especially the students. And government said that he would provide us with nose masks, and he has not given us the nose masks yet. So we are hoping that he provides us with the nose masks and the water, especially the water. When it comes to the washing hands and the sanitizer, we have to go to the communities to fetch water and I'll come in. Pour it inside the containers before we can get water to wash our hands. So we are hoping that the government will provide us with the nose masks and the water and sanitizer.
To speak frankly, observing social distances will be a problem. So in order to keep these protocols, the government needs to provide us with buildings and, most to the point, the furniture we are sitting on, because there's not enough space to observe the social distances.
So those are some of the peoples interacting with Martina Bugri. We'll touch base with our correspondent in the other regions. But let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the president of the Ghana National Teachers Association, NAT, Madam Philippa Larson. Thank you very much, Madam, for your time here on Newsnight. Today is day one. I'm sure you've been monitoring the situation on the ground together with your other executives in the regions. What is your assessment of day one?
Well, thank you. Let me say good evening to your cherished listeners and also to say Happy New Year to everybody. Yes, basic schools resumed or reopened today, and our monitoring shows that, in fact, for me as an individual, I'm a bit disappointed. I'm disappointed because this morning I stepped out of the house, and in between people's homes and the schools, you could see a lot of the students, about 85 to 90% of them were without the nose mask. And that is where the disappointment sets in, because at least from the home to the school, where the child will be given the supply from government, at least we expected to have seen that the children were in a nose mask, especially because the security agencies are going to enforce the wearing of the mask and all that. And that is where the disappointment came. This morning it wasn't too good.
And on the part, so that is one part of it, where we expect that parents would give, the awards face masks once they leave the house. But did you get the indication that government was going to supply PPEs today?
That is the information we had, because even before today, we've had information that the supply had commenced and some regions had received the items, and they are also going to start with the supply to the various districts and then for onward supply to the various schools. And so we expected that at least by today, even if not all schools, majority of the schools would have received their PPEs, and then each child could get at least a nose mask whilst we wait for the rest of the supplies to be given out to the children.
And so are you clear in your mind what may be accounting for the delay or the late disbursement? Do you know? Did you follow up to find out why?
In fact, for all the areas we went, we had information that the items were on the way. The items were on the way. Some people had received some of the items, like some schools had received the tissue papers. Some schools had also received the sanitizers. For the Veronica buckets, some schools, almost all the schools had already, but they are not enough, because they were giving out at the time the candidates were in school. Then when the second years also reopened. But now that all the children are going to be in school, the number of Veronica buckets given to the various schools will not be enough. And that is where the concern is. At least they have something to start with, but it is woefully inadequate. What about the consumables, the soap, the sanitizers, and all that? So these are the challenges that are being faced by the various schools.
And already we know that in some of the schools the numbers has been a problem. In fact, as you heard there from the northern region, they do not have enough furniture to be able to socially distance, and water supply as well as a problem. Considering all of this, would you say that we are ready for the situation at hand, seeing that the numbers keep rising? We have a new variant as well.
You see, it would be difficult for me to say as to whether we are ready or not, because definitely life must go on. And we have to make a lot of sacrifices. And once we are all stakeholders in education, we have to make sure that if we also have roles to play, we do so. Now, with the issue of social distancing in the various schools, yes, we are aware. And that is why we have district directors and head teachers in the various schools. So that way they think that the enrollment figures are so high, they could even approach other people within the community who have other structures, and they'll probably put the children into smaller groups. And so we expect that at the various school levels, at the various community levels, at the various district levels, some interventions are also put in place to make sure that we all have a safe learning environment where we can learn and be safe.
We'll leave it here because of time. Thank you very much, Madam Philippa Larson. That's the president of the Ghana National Teachers Association, speaking to us there on her assessment of day one. I'm sure that as the days go by, we'll get an update, especially on the delay in the distribution of PPE and what have you.
Well, but you said we'll be taking you to our regional correspondents, parts of the region and what they've observed. We'll start off from the Ashanti region. You've already heard from some children in the northern region. And my colleague, Nanaya Jima, filed this report.
Most of the students are happy returning to school after several months of break due to COVID-19 pandemic. But these students walking to school are without their nose masks. Where's your mask?
This is in my bag. This is in my bag.
So why aren't you wearing it on your way to school?
I intend buying the mask in school. I didn't get some to buy on my way. I will strictly adhere to all the protocols.
It is difficult for me to breathe in the mask, but I'll wear it. At the entrance of Bomsu School, some students stand at the entrance to enforce hand washing.
So that's the situation in the Ashanti region. Let's go now to the Central region. Richard Kojinako has been interacting with some of the pupils.
Good morning. How are you? I'm good. Okay, so how many of you know about coronavirus? Have you heard of it? Yes. What is it? Anyone can tell me? Just tell me anything you know about coronavirus. It's an airborne disease. What causes it? Okay, so how can we prevent coronavirus from infecting us?
By wearing our masks and sanitizing.
Okay, but you're not wearing masks, right? Okay, but when you're seated in the class, you're not wearing one. But you want to be infected with coronavirus?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so henceforth, what will you do?
So wear my mask.
Okay.
And so that's people there speaking to Kojo Nyako. And the interesting thing from our observation, the private schools are doing quite well with the adherence, but the public schools as well, we have the challenge.
And we're hoping that parents will also take that responsibility and educate their children as they leave home to the school so that they adhere to the safety protocols. COVID-19 is real. Now, we'll go for business. And when we return, John Mahama, the NDC 2020 flag bearer, has filed a motion asking the EC chairperson to admit to errors made in the declaration. That's part of the presidential petition. We have details of that after George Riafe brings us business. Hello, George.
Hi, Emefa, and coming up in business, you look at the increase in price of petroleum products and the expected impact on the cost of living. And government scouts for local managers are expected to help them raise the planned $5 billion through Eurobond and other papers and securities. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business, Kingdom Books and Stationery and Allianz Insurance.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, don't worry, Grandpa. There are still 5 ripe and 15 unripe mangoes on the tree.
That's my boy.
Grandpa, it's still 1.2 kilograms of rice in the container.
My boy. And how much credit did I spend last week?
Well, you spent 5 CDs on calls, 2 megabytes on data, and you sent 5 SMSs.
We are the first network that tells you exactly what you have spent and when you spent it. Dial *156# to access your statement on MTN. We are good together. We there for you everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Our 130-year journey at Allianz has seen our operations growing to cover over 92 million Allianz customers in over 70 countries worldwide. Allianz Life Insurance Ghana, a subsidiary of Allianz Group, has put together a wide range of insurance packages to suit the pockets of every Ghanaian individual, family, group, corporate body, as well as their employees. Kindly call us on 030-2267-892 or 059-144-9686 or visit our website www.allianz-gh.com for more enquiries. Allianz Life, we secure your future.
Hope you have heard rent to own now in Ghana. The Plan City Extension Project Rent to Own Land and House Ownership Scheme by the Ningo Prampram District Assembly and its partners, supported by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and the UN Habitat, are right here in Ghana. So be smart though, because where you trade and live really matters. Apply now and own a home or a fully serviced land. Wait a minute too. Don't forget to join our affiliate housing cooperatives also. Special offers last until 31st March 2021. Call us on 055 55 3300 or 0577 911101 and 055 7054 635. Website newaccra.city. Plant City Extension Projects, shaping Ghana's urban future.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the cost of living should witness some marginal increase in the coming days. Now, this follows the more than 5% increase in fuel prices. Now, Total has taken the lead and selling a litre for 5 Ghana cedis, 10 pesos, with the rest expected to follow. Well, for individuals, your budget for fuel consumption will be going up in the coming weeks. Now, the development is also expected to impact negatively on the cost of production for businesses. Now, this may lead to them also passing on the cost to consumers. Now, if the transport operators also succeed in getting an increase in their fares, that could also impact negatively on the prices of goods and services in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa, tells Joy Business despite the increase in petroleum prices, there is no justification for transport fares to go up.
We do not think that any attempts at this time on the part of transport operators to increase transport fares will be justified, bearing in mind within the month of July 2020, indications had pointed to the fact that transport fares should have been reduced. We followed up with the Transport Ministry, who, after several deliberations with the transport groups, decided that they should ease down on transport fares to about 15%. That wasn't done, and so we've had to pay these high fares. I can also say, secondly, that the kind of fuel prices that we had as of the time the last transport fare increases came somewhere April, June, we haven't gotten there yet, and so it will be quite unfortunate if
Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa. Now, the Ghana Tourism Authority is promising strict enforcement of the COVID-19 protocols for all leisure centers in the country. Now, this follows news that some of these nightclubs, pubs, and actually beach are actually flouting the directive. Now, following President Akufo-Addo's directive, the head of quality control at the Ghana Tourism Authority, Alex Boachi, says things will change going forward.
I mean, if you listen to what His Excellency the President recounted, the statistics, it's quite alarming. And our lives are at stake. All of us, we need to protect our lives. So I believe that this time around, the operators, as well as the prospective patrons, will cooperate with us so that we can ensure the full compliance of the President's directives as regards the imposition of restrictions. And even those who are allowed to operate, the tourism enterprises, they abide by the operational guidelines that we've outlined to those enterprises.
The authority is set to close down some cinemas, nightclubs, and beaches during the Christmas festivities. Now, businesses are being asked to give more attention to the health and welfare of their workers this year. The advice is coming at a time when COVID-19 cases have picked up, with death rates also going up. Now, this is coming at a time when most businesses were on the verge of picking up before this development actually came, a development that might also force them to scale down their workforce and production. Now, speaking to Joy Business strategist and lawyer, Mr. Fosudote says this might be one of the best way going forward to stay in business despite the COVID-19 challenges.
First which is the most important, is the health and welfare of staff. I mean, nothing is more important than that. Without the health and welfare of staff.
You think that would impact?
I think that's the most important lesson.
Take it more important.
Yes, I think that's the most important lesson in any business.
People.
Yes, because they have to be healthy. How are you organized even in your office in such a way that they can work in a healthy environment? How are you organized in such a way that if they have to continue working from home, they can continue working from home? How are they comfortable? How healthy are they in case they got COVID? How are they handled? So the health and welfare of staff is one of the biggest lessons every organization should learn. The other one is that no matter how well you plan, there can be the unexpected. And I think that is a very, very big lesson.
Business strategist and lawyer David Ofosudote. Now, the Finance Ministry has begun search for local financial institutions that would help them raise the Eurobond and other funds on the international market. Now, this was contained in a circular issued by the Ministry of Finance to some fund managers in the country that are planning to be part of this process. We have more in the following Business Desk report.
The Finance Ministry also wants to bring on board some local financial institutions to raise these funds so that a fraction of the Eurobonds stays in the country. This is because government will usually be paying these managers a fraction of the funds raised, which is normally hard currency. It is also believed that it will expose them to the international players when it comes to raising funds on the global market. The Ministry of Finance was quick to add that it was looking Also, for a firm that has a strong presence in the market, which will be able to raise the needed funds. The circular from the Ministry of Finance also noted that the firm will not only concentrate on fundraising, but also assist the ministry when it comes to developing credit rating presentations and coordinate with the ministry in the presentation. The Ministry of Finance is targeting to raise $5 billion this year. Out of this, $3 billion will be raised through Eurobonds, with the remaining to be secured through diaspora bonds, sustainable bonds, green and social bonds, as well as syndicated long-term facilities. It is still
close at 4 Ghana cedis.
Yes, on our WhatsApp console. This one from Cash Boy in Ho says, I support the call for the suspension of the reopening of schools. Why do our leaders always wait until things get out of hand before they take action? The supposed distribution of the PPE was not done. This one says, please, Emefa, I want to find out why social distancing is not being observed in commercial vehicles or trotro. Can the virus not be transmitted through close contact in trotro? And that's Kwesi from Medina.
And Abusa Jackson Gilanyo in Cape Coast is asking why we reopened schools from KG. You didn't add more to that. AU Farouk in Tamale North said the COVID-19 cases of Ghana today is totally alarming. The government, instead of tackling the COVID-19, we're busily fighting for power in the past months, he says. Fuad from Midia says most Ghanaians are not taking this pandemic so serious due to the posturing of our health experts. I advise health experts and professionals not to allow themselves to be used by politicians, he says.
Walanyo in Akwetia said government should not sweep the Noguchi allegation under the carpet, and Ghanaians too with a normal I don't care attitude are becoming too much that we can't admit to embrace with simple and basic instructions to avoid infecting other innocent citizens. And those are some of your comments coming through our WhatsApp console.
Well, this is Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. We appreciate your comments that you've sent in. But let's talk about this issue that's just coming in. We've been telling you about that before business, and the former flag bearer of the NDC,
the
2020
presidential candidate
of the NDC, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, has filed a motion asking the Electoral Commission chairperson, Madam Jean Mensah, to admit to her errors made in declaration of election results. You have details?
Yeah, so Mr. Mahama, of course, we know that he lost the 20 December 7 polls, and he's at the Apex Court seeking a declaration to annul the results. Now, the court is due to hear the matter Tuesday, January 19, that's tomorrow. But Mr. Mahama wants the Apex Court to direct the EC chairperson to admit to certain facts. Now, the fact relates to the declaration of the results on December 9. Mr. Mahama wants the EC chairperson to admit that she did declare the results on December 9, which was live on radio, TV, and online platforms. That he also wants the EC to admit that there's a chairperson to admit that she has since not made any other declaration of results. He further wants the EC chairperson to admit that the figures and percentages announced by her during this declaration of collated results come to 100.3% instead of 100%. You get that?
Yes.
So Mr. Mahama is saying that when you put all the figures together
that she put out that day,
you would get 100.3 and not 100%. Now, he finally wants the EC chairperson to admit that subsequent correction of results in statements issued by the EC is different from what candidates obtained as captured in the summary of results sheet published by the EC itself.
Well, and we have a copy of the full motion, and it's available on myjoyonline.com. But it's time now for sports. Hans Mensando, you're the very latest, Hans.
And I've got the very latest, Emefa. Can you fathom the idea of disbanding or dissolving a Ghanaian national team?
Which one?
The under-17 is what...
I thought it was the Black Stars.
Scout. You want the Black Stars
dissolved?
You want it dissolved?
Yeah.
Really?
After all that we've been through, everything.
After the Black Starlets poor showing an exit from the Wafu Zone B tournament, international football scout Kofi Bewa has he says that the Ghana under-17 team, the Black Starlets, should be dissolved. According to him, the team is not representative of the talent we have in the country.
this team is not representative of the talent that Ghana has and on the 17 level. I think that the time was short, the modus operandi was bad, and the way we went about it, you would never be able to have a period 3 to 5 days to pick footballers. Well, if a footballer is sick within that period, obviously he's not going to make the cut.
Yeah.
It has to be a systematic program whereby these regions, these schools, these districts are holding events and playing in an organized league, whereby we would have a team that clearly represents every region, not when we go in for stopgap, selections. So for me, the team is not representative. Disband the team.
Oh no!
And then let everybody justify, Gary. Let everybody justify their listen by going on a systematic countrywide selection.
Kofi Bewa was speaking to Gary L. Smith on the Joy Sports Link. And in England, where we've got us now, the Gunners who will be welcoming Newcastle United later tonight at the Emirates in an English Premier League game. That's your sport.
Thank you so much, Hans Mensando. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Now, 2 years and counting. That's how long it's been since investigative journalist Ahmed Swale was murdered in cold blood. While the Criminal Investigative Department of the Ghana Police Service says it is still pursuing the case, it has been largely criticized for its handling of the matter.
Ahmed Swale, an investigative journalist and a former member of the Anas Tiger IPI, was shot to death at Medina, January 2019. Tonight, the family of the slain journalist says it will take its demand for justice a notch higher as it hints of soliciting support from the international community. We'll hear from Ahmed Swale's brother shortly, but first, the GJA held a memorial forum to commemorate the second anniversary of Ahmed Swale's death. Kweku Asante was there, and our reports.
I would advise parents that just equip your child with the basic tools they need to protect themselves. So just 2 masks, one on, one spare in the bag, and a small bottle of sanitizer. And then government will step in and do what it has to do in due course.
1,000 apologies there. We'll bring you a quick Santis report shortly. But I've been joined on the phone now by Ahmed Swale's brother, and he joins us, Mustafa Idrisu. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So I'm curious, 2 years down the line, we are yet to hear anything concrete from the police or nor the CID. You are the family. I'm sure that the CID would say that they interact directly with you. What have they been telling you? What exactly is the status of that investigation?
Good evening to you, Emefa, and good evening to your cherished listeners. If the police say that they are dealing directly with us as a family, yes, it is true, but they are not telling us anything, just as we are not also hearing anything from them. Nothing concrete is coming from the Ghana Police Service. For the past 2 years, as a family, we have cooperated with them. We have moved to them anytime they need us. Sometimes without even inviting the family, we go there just to inquire in order to find out what is actually happening. But then nothing concrete comes out of all these discussions that we have had with the Ghana Police Service. All they tell us is that they are still doing their investigation. We are still doing our investigation. And as you know, when you delay in investigating a matter, evidence will be destroyed. So the longer it takes to come out with the investigative results, the evidence that you have definitely would have been destroyed. So if they are saying that they are still doing their investigation, how long is it going to take the Ghana Police Service to finish investigating the death of a policeman?
And it's been 2 years, but Mr. Mustafa Idris, I'll beg you to reposition yourself. We're losing you along the line. But 2 years down the line, and you've been telling us about the frustration of the family as well. But in all this, how do you feel as a family about this situation?
Actually, you rightly mentioned the word frustrated. We are frustrated as a family. The Ghana Police Service is actually frustrated as a family. There is a feeling of anguish among members of the family. Just recently, I think about 3 weeks ago, I was at Woolensey. I went to the family house to meet the mother of Ahmed Swale. And you could see the anguish in the eyes of this old lady. But the Ghana Police Service is adamant. They are just showing that kind of attitude towards any other thing that happens to anybody apart from a policeman. Let there be the death of a policeman. And within the next 24, 48 hours, we are finding the perpetrators of that.
And you intend taking the matter up beyond the Ghana Police Service and the CID?
Of course. As a family, we are now, for the past 2 years, because we haven't done anything, we are now going to petition the United Nations. We will petition the U.S. Embassy. We will petition the British High Commission. And we will petition any other person that matters. If the Ghana Police Service feels that can frustrate us for this thing to go just like any other, no.
Mustafa.
I think the Ghana Journalist Association you need to set up. Because Swale was one of you. Murdered. And nothing has happened. Do we know who is next? No.
Rightly so. That's Mustafa Idrisu, brother of Ahmed Swale, and today the GJA held a memorial forum to commemorate the second year anniversary of our colleague journalist, investigative journalist Ahmed Swale. 2 years down the line, you heard the family, nothing much has happened. And that's how we end tonight's edition of Newsnight. I am Emefa Apawu.
My name is Ernest.
Our 130-year journey at Allianz has seen our operations growing to cover